Hi everyone, it's Mandy. Welcome back to my channel. I am here today to talk about some theories for Final Fantasy XVI. Yeah, Final Fantasy XVI, it's a thing. It was announced. We saw the trailer. The trailer was so good. I was so shocked to see that trailer. We had the rumors that Final Fantasy XVI was going to be announced on Wednesday. I didn't believe them. I thought maybe there was a tiny chance that they were true. It turns out they were definitely true, and we saw the trailer. It was amazing. I was shocked. Thank you for the positive response on my reaction video. I was just so bewildered, and I was not expecting to see the game at all. And on top of that, we saw so much of the game. It's a long trailer. That's Dexter in the background. I was not expecting to see so much in that trailer. It was a long trailer. I couldn't believe it. I expected just like the tiniest bit of information, if anything. I expected a title card. I expected a fade to black with a character, maybe a one character we would see. In my opinion, we saw a lot, and people have been commenting all over the place that we haven't seen our party members. We haven't seen a lot of what the story is going to be, but I think we do have some glimpses, and I'm here today to talk about those glimpses that we have into the story of Final Fantasy XVI, what's to come in the game, what I think so far about what we've seen, and we're going to talk about the future of Final Fantasy XVI and what is in store for us. I can't wait to get into this. I've got thoughts. Okay, so we've got icons. Icons are a huge theme in this trailer. The trailer opens up with a campfire, and that's a reflection in our main character's eye, the main character who is not named yet, but he's certainly our main character. We see all the combat through him. We see him younger, we see him older. He's definitely our guy. So we see the campfire reflected in his eye. We open to a scene of this group of men, which I'll get to later. This group of men, they seem a little bit, they seem like mercenaries, if you ask me. More on that later. And then, so watching that trailer initially, my wheels are kind of turning because immediately I was tuned in. I was tuned into the event. I was like, wait, these characters look a little, they look square-like. But then I hear mention of Shiva. I hear Shiva and I'm like, ooh, we could be in Final Fantasy territory. Now, immediately I am thinking it's got to be Final Fantasy XIV. I haven't played Final Fantasy XIV myself. I don't know much of how it looks, I've seen gameplay of it. I've seen a little bit of it. I am not that familiar with the story or what's important in it. I've heard that summons are very important in it. Anyway, I hear Shiva. Tuned in, it must be Final Fantasy. We soon see chocobos. We soon hear the Final Fantasy theme. I'm like, this is absolutely Final Fantasy, no question about it. But is it 16? And I'm thinking to myself, it's gotta be 14. I'm giving myself every reason to believe it can't be 16. Now, thinking back, that was probably pretty dumb, because why would the headliner, why would the first thing we see in the PS5 showcase be an expansion of Final Fantasy XIV? That would make absolutely no sense. I was not thinking about that at the time, though. I was just trying not to get my hopes up. Anyway, it ended up being 16. Now, a huge theme in this trailer is summons or icons. I think we're calling them icons in 16. Now, I have so many thoughts. I think there are definitely two possibilities with these icons. So our main character in the beginning seems to be protecting Joshua. Now, Joshua is the only named character other than Shiva and Phoenix in the trailer. He's the only character who gets named, and he gets named several times.
Come, Joshua.
I am Joshua's sheep.
I think we start out the game protecting Joshua. Something obviously goes very, very wrong, and we become something else. Now, these summons, I believe the people are turning into these summons. I think we're going to have Shiva's dominant that we're going after in the campfire scene in the beginning, and I think Shiva's dominant is a person who turns into Shiva. It's very, very possible that it's just a summoner, that this girl will summon Shiva. But in my opinion, I think the way they've shown later with the fiery man, I think he's turning into Ifrit, and I think all of the summons, all of the icons are going to be morphing into their summon self. And I think calling them their dominant is kind of their dominant form is human, and then they can turn into this icon. So how does this happen? To me, I am very much of the opinion that Joshua is an icon, and Joshua, I think, turns into Phoenix. I know a lot of people think Ifrit. So we see Joshua lying on the ground. His eyes are turning gold. He's being Norded. No, he's really just he's either turning into Phoenix or summoning Phoenix. I know a lot of people think he could also be turning into Ifrit, and I'm not denying that. I just personally read it as he was either summoning or turning into Phoenix. The trailer does kind of make it seem like he's just summoning Phoenix. Phoenix is coming from above. But then the scene later with Ifrit and the man turning into Ifrit, oh, that has me convinced that these people are turning into these icons. So Joshua, we see his eyes turn gold, and it's kind of in this super, super intense moment. He seems scared. His emotions are heightened. I think that's how this transformation happens. Similar to like a Hulk type of thing. It's your emotions are heightened and you don't know how to respond, and it's something that overwhelms you and overcomes you. We know that Shiva's dominant is a girl, and there really is not a lot of information that we have other than that. However, I've seen so many theories that the girl with gray hair that Joshua is talking to could be Shiva. I also love the theory that what seems to be Joshua's mom or Joshua's caretaker, she covers her mouth speaking to Joshua, kind of like somebody who would be a master of silence. So maybe Siren. I love that theory. I love it so much. I love the idea that we have potentially seen 3 of the dominant versions of these icons. I love that. Those are my theories. Again, they could be totally wrong, but these are my theories so far. So I'm of the opinion that some fiery man turns into Ifrit, Joshua turns into Phoenix. Maybe the girl is Shiva, and maybe the motherly figure is Siren. We'll see where that goes. But my question now is, who is Carbuncle? And I have the answer. It's definitely the really grumpy blonde guy from the beginning of the trailer. But he also shows up later in the trailer. And he's less grumpy, and he's incredulous. He says something is impossible. I still don't know what he says in this clip. Something about fire and it being impossible. I don't know what it is. By the way, total joke about him being Carbuncle. I'm sure we won't see Carbuncle. I would just love to see like this like kind of tough, brooding guy be Carbuncle, because I also just love Carbuncle. Okay, now we have, and the trailer opens up. The trailer opens up with this band of not so merry men. Our main character is part of this band of not so merry men, and it seems to be led by the blonde guy, Carbuncle. I need to stop. The blonde guy. We just don't have names for these characters, so I've got to nickname them. The world seems very dark and gritty, and these men seem to have taken on some role, whether by choice or not is unclear. But the way they speak about it, the close-up is on their tattoo. They all have this tattoo. They've taken this oath, it seems, to form this group, and the tattoo symbolizes that. Now, I don't know what this group is. It seems like a group of just mercenaries. They take orders, they action those orders, they don't ask questions. But it also seems to be maybe something more than that. Like maybe the world has put them in this position. Their wording is what makes me think that. Seeing them in the light of mercenaries, and their language at the beginning, they want to take down this girl who is Shiva. It almost makes it seem like we're the bad guys, which could be a very interesting take on a Final Fantasy game. We start out kind of, it seems to be like as part of this like noble guard, and now we have come all this way to being kind of like a rough and tumble group of mercenaries, it seems to be. How did this transformation happen? I'm sure we're going to see that. We clearly have a time jump. Or maybe we see it, maybe the whole game is just, you know, a super long timeline. But it definitely, several years have passed. I've seen people guess between 2 to 10 years. It could be any number of years. So let's just say it's 5. But it does seem like a decent amount of time. Our main character looks a little bit aged in that time. I'm interested to see Joshua grown up because we've only seen him younger We've only seen him in his younger form. He's maybe around 12. So if it's 5 years later, he's like 17. So that's, in JRPG years, basically an adult. But why are we going after Shiva's dominant? Clearly someone has asked us to do it. But who asked us? And why do we agree? Is it just for money? Is it how have we fallen so far? I'm intrigued by this. All right, into the combat, because I am so interested in the combat. Coming out of Final Fantasy VII Remake, I am just hyped about combat. I loved the combat in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, this game does look like action combat, you know, similar to 7 Remake, but I don't think it's actually going to be much like 7 Remake at all. A big part of Remake was the materia system and then ATB. I have no reason to believe we're going to have any ATB system in this combat. It looks very action-based, but it also looks like it could draw some from 15. I see kind of a warp strike thing going on. I see dodging, blocking, guarding, and countering seem to be very, very important in this combat. Those are elements of action combat that I absolutely adore. I would love to see that in this game. And I'm really excited to see more of this combat. It looks so fun. It looks fast-paced. It just looks great from what I've seen so far. If we're gonna talk about combat, we've got to talk about our party. So far, we have no party members. So far, we've seen only solo fights. Now, I do think we will have solo boss fights, one-on-one boss fights in this game. I don't think it means the entire game will be 1 versus 1. I don't think it'll be a solo party. I think we will have party members, but I do think that they will have boss fights where it's just our main character versus the boss. And I think that's fine. We've seen that in other Final Fantasy games. I'm even thinking Final Fantasy VII Remake, we see that a lot. Lots of boss fights that are one-on-one. Those are some of my favorite boss fights in 7 Remake, so I'm not opposed to it. I'm also a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, and Kingdom Hearts has some great one-on-one fights. It also does have a party. It's not a party you can control, though. Donald and Goofy, you can set gambits for them, but you can't control their actions. You can't play as them. I hope we don't have that. I hope we don't have a Kingdom Hearts combat system in Final Fantasy XVI. I hope we can switch between the party members. I hope we can set up gambits for them and then switch to them and play as them if we want to. Now, I've also heard that there might be some people from Final Fantasy XII working on Final Fantasy XVI, so maybe that means we'll get a kind of gambit system. An upgraded gambit system for an action combat game. Yeah, I would love it. I really would enjoy that. Now, that's just a wish list. I have no reason to think that's going to happen. We haven't seen any party members so far. I wonder if our group of mercenaries will be our party, or if maybe the party changes. Maybe in the beginning of the game, when we're still kind of like the innocent version of the main character, maybe all of that is solo, and then we become the older, grittier version, and then we have our party members. We'll see, though. I'm excited to find out more. I can't wait to see more. My biggest hope is a complex and diverse party cast. And I really, really want some women in there. I would love some women fighters in there. Tifa in 7 Remake was one of my favorite characters to play. I loved her combat. I love her as a character. I want a strong woman in my party in Final Fantasy XVI. So the trailer itself was packed. It was a long trailer. It was full of story, full of combat, so much going on. It even had voice acting. Now, this could lead some to believe that we're getting the game soon, and I have heard from some sources some rumors that it could be coming out relatively soon, sooner than we might think, given that it was just announced a few days ago. Now, I'm kind of the mindset that it won't be super soon, so we know for one thing we won't hear any more information about this game until next year, until 2021. That tells me we're not getting the game in 2021. I think there's no way we get this game in 2021. I think 2022 is definitely the earliest we'll possibly get this game. I still think that's a little bit early. I'm thinking 23 or 24 is when we'll likely see it. So 3 or 4 years from now. And I even think that's still being optimistic. I also think that the game isn't quite as finished as the trailer would make it seem. So I think a lot of that footage is just for the trailer. The voice actors, I think, were brought in just for the trailer. I don't think they're at the point that they're having voice actors come in and act this game. I don't even know if they've cast the voice actors yet, to be honest. We've had no information about that. We don't know who the voice cast is in the trailer, but I feel sure that it won't be the voice cast of the final product. We have seen a lot, but there's still so much left to see. We haven't seen a full party. We don't know names of characters except for Joshua, and then returning characters like Shiva and Phoenix. So I still think there's just so much to learn. I personally cannot wait to see more of this game. I know we won't hear anything until 2021, and 2021 just cannot come soon enough. Get us out of the year of 2020. I am so stoked that this game was announced. Get us out of this year. I can't wait for more information. I'm so excited to be in this period where we're anticipating a new Final Fantasy title. I can't wait. We've got 7 Remake Part 2 to look forward to. That hasn't even officially been announced yet. We all know it's coming, but we need that announcement trailer. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Final Fantasy 16. I've got Kingdom Hearts to look forward to. There's so many good Square games coming out soon, and I just can't wait. Here's to hoping for a somewhat soon release for Final Fantasy 16. Again, I'm thinking 2023, 2024 would be the earliest, but I just can't wait for some more news next year. Trailers get me so hyped, as you guys know, and I just love living in this hype. I love being on Reddit, reading theories, reading posts, reading reactions, reading who the developers are, who we think the developers are that we don't know. All of that is just so fun to theorize about. It's an amazing time to be a Final Fantasy fan, and thank you guys for welcoming me into the fandom. I love being here. And I can't wait to make more of these videos. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me. I stream on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday. Right now I'm playing through Final Fantasy 13. I just started it and I'm loving it so far. I cannot wait to play more. My socials are all linked down below, so feel free to follow me there if you like. Thank you guys again so much for watching. It is so appreciated. And I will see you soon. Bye.